In this lesson, we will solve part number 3 of question number 1. And the question we have that we have to find out by definition the derivatives with respect to x of the following function defined as f of x is equal to 1 divided by square root of x. Right, so again we have to do this question by definition, so we have to make 4 steps. First of all, I would say that suppose instead of f of x, actually it is f of x, I say this is y is equal to 1 divided by square root of x, and I say this is my equation number 1. Now the step 1, we will start step number 1. Always in step number 1 you have to take increment. So write down, taking increment means you have to add something on both sides, right? So both sides of the equation. So here we have y. So what you have to add? You have to add delta y. Delta means change, a little change, and you have to add it. Same thing on the right hand side. This is square root of x. So here you have to add delta x, and delta means change. If you have a y here, you have to add delta y. If you have a x here, you have to add delta x. Now in the next step, we will take y from the left hand side to the right hand side of the equation. So it will be 1 divided by square root of x plus delta x. This y, when you will take on the right side, it becomes negative y. I will say this is my equation number 2. So as I said that this is y is equal to 1 divided by square root of x, and here we have y as well. So put the value of y from equation 1 into 2. So here you can write down, put the value of y from equation 1 into equation 2. Right, so here we have delta y is equal to 1 divided by square root of x plus delta x, and here is minus y, so negative, and then 1 divided by square root of x. Right, okay, now we will start our step number 2, how to solve it. When we will start solve this question, in the second part, it is called step number 2. In step number 2, I can write down here first where we were. X plus delta x negative 1 over square root of x. Right? So what we have to do here, we will take the LCM. And you know how to take the LCM. LCM of these two terms will be square root of x into square root of x plus delta x. So see here, denominator we have x plus delta x square root. Same thing here, this will cancel. Numerator we have only delta x remaining. Negative here, this will cancel with this. Then we have in the numerator x plus delta x. Right? So what you have to do next? Next we have to rationalize. How we will rationalize it? Whatever you have in the numerator, write down as it is. Right, it is x plus delta x. Same thing you have to do in the denominator, but the important point is here you should be very careful. Here is negative sign, so in rationalize you have to put the inverse of it, which is positive. Same thing here, if it is positive you have to make it negative here. Actually these two will cancel each other. Again we have the same question, but in order to make it simple we do rationalize. Okay, so here see, it is a square root of x minus a square root of x plus delta x. Same thing here we have, but with the positive sign. So this is okay, I will write down here, this is not part of your question, but see it one time the same thing with the positive sign, one time the same thing with the negative. It is the formula in algebra, a square minus b square, which is equal to a plus b into a minus b. So far in the numerator we have this and these two terms. If we combine these two, we will get a square b square. Instead of a we have x, so I will make it a square root of x square. minus square root of x plus delta x. This is, instead of b, make the square. So this is a square minus b square whole divided by, we have square root of x. So yes, square root of x into x plus delta x square root. Right? Okay. Now see have how I can write down this square root of x. I will write down like this, right? And there is a power of 2, so it means these two will cancel each other, only we have x. So this is the square of x. Now we can write down only x here. Same thing, right? This is the square, so this will cancel this, only we have x plus delta x, but here we have negative sign, so this negative sign will make this x negative and this plus negative as well, so it will be negative x into negative delta x. In the denominator we have square root of x into square root of x plus delta x. So see, this is minus x, this is positive x, this will cancel each other, only we have negative delta x in the numerator. So how I can write down this? It will be delta y is equal to negative delta x, and here we have delta x, sorry, square root of x into x plus delta x. This is one, I think I forget something in the last slide. Here is x plus delta x. Just go back, so we will fix the problem. So see here in the denominator we have this and this, I forget the other part. So here you have to write down square root of x plus delta x. Same thing here, this is x square root plus square root of x plus delta x. Okay, now step number 3. In step number 3, what you have to do, divide both sides by delta x. So here it will be delta y over delta x, which is equal to negative delta x over delta x, because we have to do our derivation with respect to x, and the remaining is square root of x into x plus delta x into square root of x plus square root of x plus delta x. We have these two terms. Okay, this will cancel each other. In the numerator we have only 1, and the denominator we have x into x plus delta x. This was delta x, sorry, this is okay, and here we have square root of x plus delta x. Now we cannot solve it further, so the last step it here we are going to take to apply the limits. So taking limits, I can write down here, taking limit delta x tends to 0 on both sides of the equation. So here we have delta y over delta x, and limit delta x tends to 0. Same thing, negative 1 we have in the numerator. In the denominator, limit delta x tends to 0, square root of x into square root of x plus delta x, square root of x plus delta x. So see, when we will apply delta x tends to 0 on delta y over delta x, it will be equal to dy by dx. And here is negative, we have to apply on delta x, so this square root of x will remains the same, multiply by x plus this is delta x, it will be 0. And here we have, this is 1, here square root of x will remains the same. This will be x plus 0. So here is minus 1 square root of x, square root of x, and here we have square root of x plus square root of x. See, this is very important point. Here we have negative 1 in the numerator, but this is, they are multiplying each other. So when they multiply, their power is add. So square root means half. This is half. Half is equal to 1, or we can take only x like this. We can write down. But there is a positive sign between square root of x and square root of x. So this is 1 and 1. So it will be 2 square root of x. You can rearrange it, minus 1 divided by 2x into square root of x, but this is also fine. This is our solution. Dy by dx by definition is equal to negative 1 over 2x into square root of x. So practice this problem. These are a little bit lengthy question, but it's very easy. If you have any question, you can ask me. Subscribe to my channel, and thanks for watching.